All right. So, hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you're all here. We are kicking off this book club today with a brand new book that has never been read before in this in our for data science or the DSLC now, which is data. What is it? Data Science Learning Community, I think. So this is super exciting. So I thought we should start by introducing ourselves, just to get to know each other. I'm not sure if you're all gonna be here for the entire book, but fingers crossed you will. So let's start with that. So let me start. My name is Gabby. I am from Guatemala, and I am originally now in Guatemala. I was before living in the US, but then I came back. And so I'm not sure where I'm going to be in a few years, but for now, I'm here. I'm a biologist, and I have been with the data science learning community for so many years by now. And I've read so many of these books, and I've been in so many of the book clubs. Um, and I'm a full supporter of this community. So yeah, that's me. And I'm gonna be coordinating this book club. But again, maybe you guys have more experience than me. My experience I have like, I guess between 10 and 15 years of experience coding, and data visualization is one of my like favorite things to do. So this book is based on that. So of course that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to jump in and read it. So yeah, that's me. So let's see who else wants to introduce themselves now.
I guess I'll go, and then yeah, if you want, I can volunteer who goes next. Okay, so I'm Ashley. I am in Canada, but much like Gabby, I'm also a biologist, and Gabby and I work on very similar things. So that's why we're very excited to see each other. We've also done a couple book clubs before together. So I only joined the data science learning community, I think last year, but I've done two book clubs. I did ggplot and um, the effect, which is about causal inference. And I've been really enjoying it so far. I have been coding for probably about 10 years, unless you count my sick HTML skills back when I was a kid and like playing on Neopets and stuff like that. Um, but and I've long been an appreciator about data visualization, but I feel like I haven't gotten to put that into practice enough, so that's why I'm here. All right, so Josh is the next on my screen, so you can go next. Gabby, you're muted.
All right. So Josh is just writing on the chat that he has his microphone blocked because of reasons. And then he's just saying that he's a data analyst based in Canada. Okay, so that means that you probably know more about data analysis than us because we're biologists, and that's why we know that's our background. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, we're going to be able to learn so much from you, Josh. Thank you. All right, who's next?
You go. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. So my name is Retsidi Manyake. People generally call me by my last name for obvious reasons. So I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I'm a research software engineer, and yeah, so there's like some visualizations in there, but since I was quite excited to join the book club. And yeah, I've been coding since varsity, so like since 2018. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. You're gonna have to be patient with us trying to pronounce your last name. So it's Moniaki or Moniaki?
Yes. Munyake, but that's
Moniaki.
fine. Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. So now who's next? Yeah, actually, it must be late in Cape Town. That's true.
Yeah, it's like 10 p.m.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's very late.
You really like
Okay.
DataViz then.
So the thing is, I was really excited when I saw somebody. I think it was Gabby who was like, is anyone into it? And then for so long I was just waiting, and then like I did select like a bunch of times, and then I think the one that won was like 10 p.m. my time.
Oh,
So yeah, it's okay though. It's okay. At least this way I know I'm more likely to make more sessions rather than miss stuff because of work or anything. Because generally by 10 p.m. I'm back at home.
That's true. That's true. All right. Who's next?
I'll jump in if you can hear me. Awesome.
Go
You can
ahead.
hear me. So I'm Arthur Shaw. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. area in the U.S. I'm a data scientist and I guess quite a novice with data visualization. So I was looking for this book as an opportunity to kind of read and think a bit more deeply about that. And I guess in terms of coding, I've been coding for a while. For a long time, I was a Stata user, so I'm in the social sciences, and I guess for I don't know maybe 5 to 10 years, something like that, I've been working in R, and I've done a few of the book clubs here on kind of disparate topics, but this one is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Arthur. I was just living in DC actually before moving here. Well, the DC area was in Maryland, but still the same thing. So, yay, thank you. All right, who's next?
I guess I can jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Tim. I am from New Mexico in the US. So I am a data analyst. It's kind of a new career change for me. So I'm getting into data analysis and hopefully data science stuff. I guess a pretty novice at this point, but since everybody's answering the coding question, I think I've been coding for maybe like 2 years now. So but yeah, this is my first book club, and I think I joined the community like I don't know, sometime earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. What's your language, Python or R?
Python.
Okay. Yeah, that's the advantage of this book is that it really doesn't matter what your language is because these are just principles of data visualization. So I think that that's good because we are all apparently R, but you're Python. So we'll see if anybody else is. I'm just starting with Python actually. All right, Veneta, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Veneta. I'm from Bulgaria. That's like the eastern part of Eastern Europe. I'm very new to R, and also this is my first book club, so I'm really looking forward to see how things go. Thank you.
All right. Okay, sounds good. I thought John was gonna join us because he said yesterday that he was John our overlord and what's the name I always give him our beloved leader. No, what is the name I always give him?
is
He
it
hates
Dear
it, but
Leader?
our beloved leader? No, our what?
Dear Leader?
Fearless leader? No.
I don't know.
No, it's the one, it's from Star Wars. I always forget it.
Benevolent
Our
Dictator.
benevolent dictator, yes. But anyway, our beloved leader, our president, our, the guy that just puts together this community for all of us. I have to remember what I call him. But anyway, he hates it. So I thought he was going to join us, but maybe he is busy today and he can't. So, John, I'm pretty sure you're going to see the recording. So, hello.
Yeah. I think he was
Um,
saying he just got back from vacation, so I think his like sense of time is all messed up, so maybe he just didn't realize
yeah,
that this is the time we're meeting. I'm not sure.
probably could be because I don't know why I thought no, it's not the emperor, you guys. I don't remember. It's something later. It's like, I'll remember because I always call him something, and it's probably lost in Slack somewhere because I always call him that. He hates it, but maybe deep inside he loves it. Who knows? Anyway, so today this is going to be a very brief first meeting because next week we're gonna go with Ashley. So let me just share my screen. Actually, before I do that, I'm just gonna open up the sign up sheet. Let me see where that is. Yeah, this claim a chapter. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Where is my Zoom? All right, so here you can see that I have the sign up sheet, and that is in Slack, right? So here, there we go. So today our first meeting is just to talk about the introduction of the book, and it's really, really brief. But now next week, Ashley is going to guide us into chapter 2, which is visualizing data and mapping the data onto the aesthetics. We don't have anyone for week 3, which is going to be July 24th. I am giving a talk that day in a symposium that we have here. So I would really appreciate it if anybody could just like take that one and just present that chapter. If not, I can do it. No worries. I'll be ready. The following week, which is the last day of July, we're going to go chapter 4, color scales. So at least we have July mapped out, except for chapter 3. So please just, you can check the book and see if this is a chapter that you guys are interested in. And then we're going to be going into the others. Thank you, Josh, for already like signing up for a few more chapters. And so yes, just don't remember to check periodically throughout the week to see, if there's someone missing and maybe this is a chapter that's interesting to you. The way John explains like which chapters should you do or which chapters you shouldn't do is that if this is a topic, like that chapter is talking about a topic that you don't know much about, but it interests you and it's something that you would like to learn more about, then take that chapter. That's one way. Then that's one good way to decide if this is a chapter that you should do or not. I love color, anything that has to do with color. So that's another way of doing, of deciding if you should do a chapter or not, is if it's a topic that you're very passionate about. I am very passionate about color in graphs. And so yeah, so that's another way of deciding if this should be the chapter you should do or not. Again, if there is no one assigned to that chapter, then I will do it because that's like my responsibility as I'm leading this cohort, and I have no problem with that, you guys. So that's with the sign up sheet, and then we already have on GitHub. Let me see if I can share my GitHub. Where do I have that? Oh, here it is. Okay. I think it's this one. Share. Okay, so you can see, I have to go to here, in the data science learning community in their GitHub, we already have, here it is. So we already have this book organized, so all of the chapters, etc. So you can just essentially follow the instructions that are here in the README for our book. And then it tells you exactly how to clone it, how to set up your GitHub, etc., and then how to clone this project or fork it, whichever way you want to go, and then how to modify the slides, and then how to then merge them, and then push them into their GitHub repository. So all the instructions are there, and as you can see, all the chapters are there too, so that you can follow those instructions And if you guys have any questions or something, you can always post them on Slack. And then either John or myself can answer, or anyone really, how to work with GitHub, etc. Because I mean, the first times it's a little bit daunting and you're like, what am I doing? But then once you get the hang of it, then, it's super, super easy. So now I'm going to go to, this is the book. So as you can see, this is like the link, right? Because Klaus Wilke is the one that wrote the book. So then the book and everything else is in his is on his website. If you guys want to buy the book, then for sure be my guest and get it. But everything is here online, so that's super, super easy. Okay, so now we can start with the book. Like I said, I'm just gonna talk about a little bit about the preface or the prologue of the book, and then the first chapter, which is the introduction, and which is really, really super, super easy. Oh, whoops. Okay, here. Where is my, okay, there we go. So the learning objectives for today are to introduce the book chapters, or more likely that are the sections, not necessarily all the book chapters, but we can browse through and see exactly what it is that we're going to be seeing in each chapter. But it's more about the sections, because there are three main sections. So in the prologue, or in the preface of the book, there is this quote that I extracted that is obviously from Klaus Wilke, the author. And he says that the book is meant as a guide to make visualizations that accurately reflect the data, that tell a story and that look professional. It has grown out of my experience of working with students and postdocs in my laboratory on thousands of data visualizations. So I feel like this was a good way to introduce the book, because it also comes from the science of data visualization, but it also comes from his own experience. And he has been teaching, according to his website, he has been teaching on the book for many, many years about coding and data science, et cetera, et cetera. So then based on all the questions that he has gotten and all the errors that he has encountered too during his career and with his students, then all of that experience is compiled in this book. So I think that was worth mentioning. All right. Like I said at the beginning, so this book is about the fundamentals and the science behind the data visualization. So it's about the principles of data visualization and creating good graphs. It's not really the how to do that in ggplot, or how to do that in R, Python, or whatever language you're using. It's more about the why behind it, right? So he also provides this GitHub repository that, in case you want to see how one of the graphs was created, or how one of the figures was created, he uses R and ggplot specifically, but there are also other packages that he uses. Then you can go to this repo and then see exactly how those graphs were created. But this book is mainly focused on, like I said, the principles behind how to create these graphs. He also says that figures will carry the weight of your arguments, so they need to be clear, attractive, and convincing. So that's exactly what this book is based on. So the other advice that he gives is that we have to evolve our understanding of figure preparation. And to do that, we have to routinely expose ourselves to new approaches, like reading this book, for example, right? Paying attention to the visual and design choices others make in the figures, etc. So it's not necessarily something that once you learn it, that's it. It's not static. This is something that completely can evolve, and your approach to figure preparation or data visualization can change throughout the years. The chapters have a logical progression, and that's exactly what we're going to do, right? We're going to go from chapter 1 all the way up to chapter 29. But most chapters can stand on their own, so there's no need really to read the book cover to cover. But we are rebels, and we're going to read it cover to cover. So that's why we're here. Other thoughts that he shares on this introduction about or regarding graphing software and figure preparation pipelines are that the first thing, and this is something that I think is debatable, and I think it's a point that we can either agree or not necessarily agree with it or partially agree with it. But he says that automation is your friend. That's the name of the game when it comes to graphs, because he thinks, or the things that he says on the introduction is that the graphs or the figures should come out of the pipeline ready to be sent to the printer or to the journal or to the slide. There should not be any manual post-processing needed. And the reason behind that is reproducibility. So I mention it because I know that a lot of people, and I even brought this topic at some point in one of the Slack channels, is that sometimes people create a graph in R, for example, but there are a few tweaks that they need to do so that they bring the graph to either PowerPoint or to Illustrator or to whatever other software that you can actually change a few things or add a few things, because they don't necessarily know how to do it in R, or it's going to take too long to do. For example, change the font that they're using for the x-axis and the y-axis, or change the colors or something like that. So according to the introduction of this book, and I tend to agree with this too, but like I said, you may or may not agree with this, is that things should be ready out of R so that when you run again that script, or Python or whatever, when you run again that script, you will have the exact same graph that you came out with at the beginning, right? So it's really a reproducibility issue, right? The visualizations, can be generated with a few lines of R code via ggplot2 and readily available extension packages. So that's what he's using here. And like I said, except for a few things here and there where I don't think he used ggplot, the majority of them, that's how he made them. The other thing that he talks about in the introduction of the book is that data visualization is part art and part science. So the challenge is to get the art right, which is all the aesthetics, right, without getting the science wrong, and vice versa. We cannot focus on one thing and leave the other one behind. So we have to make sure that the graph is, like, the science behind the graph is right. And the reason why you did that graph in the beginning is like scientifically accurate and statistically correct, but without forgetting all the principles of visual aesthetics. The book attempts to cover the key principles, the methods, the concepts required to visualize data for publications, reports, or presentation. So how is this book organized? Okay, so it's organized in 3 parts. The first part is called From Data to Visualization. And this part is going to describe different types of plots and charts. And its emphasis is the science of visualization. So he's focused more on the type of message that the visualization is conveying rather than the type of data being visualized. So the way he describes this is that statisticians usually are concerned about, is this a categorical variable? Is this a quantitative variable? Then based on that, we should visualize it like this or like that. So he's saying that it's not necessarily the way he's focused on this book. He's focusing more on the type of message that the graph is trying to show, or that it's trying to convey, that's where he is basing the emphasis on. So the first one is how to go, like the first part is going to be from how to go from the data that you have, the raw data, to the visualization. The second part is going to be principles of figure design, and is essentially going to focus on the aesthetic aspects of the data visualization, the things I enjoy the most. The third part are miscellaneous topics that doesn't necessarily go into part 1 or part 2, but they are interesting nonetheless, and that we should, if we understand those, our visualizations are going to be more powerful too. So things like file formats that are commonly used to store images and plots, and how to place figures into the context of a larger document. So it's like a little bit like, what do you call this? Like the scale of the graph, how to go from a small one to a big thing and things like that. And we can actually see the last, the names of the last chapters. And you can actually see, for example, things that don't necessarily go into the other parts, like how to work with multi-panel figures. How do you work with the titles, the captions, and the tables? Chapter 23 is how to balance the data and the context. Chapter 26, for example, is don't go 3D. When do we go 3D? When we don't go 3D? And things like that. And the last one is telling a story and making a point. I think that this is going to be like a good closure, because it's going to tell, or it's going to talk a little bit about storytelling and how that is so important when it comes to data visualization. So the last slide, I didn't have time to do it because I was, where is that? I was doing something else. Where is the book? Oh, it's here. Sorry. So that is going to be here. So the last, sorry about this. I couldn't put it. I was meeting someone and then we were talking about something about a project. I'm so sorry. I didn't have time to finish this part, but it's essentially just this little part from the book. So he refers to the graph that he's going to show throughout the different chapters as 3 categories. They can either be ugly, they can be bad, or they can be wrong. And obviously there's going to be one that's the more correct one, but that's also debatable. So when he talks about an ugly graph, like the one that we see here with all these colors, that one is called ugly because it's a figure that has aesthetic problems, but otherwise is clear and informative. So everything is okay with it. It's just, it doesn't look good, right? So it's ugly. The other category that he gives is bad. So a figure that has problems related to perception. It may be unclear, it could be confusing, overly complicated, or deceiving. So that's going to be a bad figure. It may be aesthetically super, super nice, or it could be aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but it's just, there are things that are not clear or that are just making it confusing to interpret the graph. So in this case, for example, if we see here, it's the same data. Here, the colors are just wrong, and the font is just different for each one of the axes, so then that makes it ugly. But this graph is bad because each one of the bar graphs, like this is a bar graph, right? So each one of the bars has its own scale, essentially. So the 3 for this one is not the same 3 for the other bar, and it's not the same 3 for the third bar. So then that is confusing. So are we comparing these 3 bars? What are we doing here, right? Even though it aesthetically may not look bad. And the third category is a wrong figure. So what is that, or what does that mean? It means a figure that has problems related to mathematics or statistics, and it's objectively incorrect. So in this case, the thing that's wrong is that even though you have 3 categories that you're comparing, what are you comparing about them, right? What is your y-axis telling you? There is no y-axis. So then we're just saying that B is larger than A and C, but in terms of what, right? We don't have a Y scale. So we don't have a Y-axis, sorry. So then that makes it wrong. And then he, for every one of the chapters, every time he mentions the ugly, the bad, and the wrong graphs, he gives it a rationale on why he's referring to those graphs as such, so that we can sort of like understand his thought process behind it. And that's it. That's it for today, you guys, unless someone else has a comment that they want to share or something that they would like to discuss. Arthur, yes?
Yeah, sorry, just one question. I was wondering, Gabby, if you'd given any thought, or John had given any guidance on this, like how would you see the presentations playing out in this? So in past book clubs that I've been parts of, there was code or there are concepts, there's something kind of concrete to work through. Here, I feel like we're working more in the abstract. I don't mean that as a pejorative at all, but I'm just wondering how you would see the presentations going, and maybe also the extent to which you see us like relying on the chapter versus like expanding outward from the chapter, presenting the chapter versus discussing it. Sorry, just like I'll come back to my original question. I was like, how would you see like kind of the presentations playing out? Where there's been like code and concepts and practical things in the past is kind of clear. For this one, a little bit less so, at least to me. Thanks.
Yeah, no, actually, I think that's an excellent question, because that's one of the things that I wasn't sure about with the book, is that, I mean, there is code, because like I said, we have that GitHub repo with the book's GitHub repo, but there's really no, I mean, unless you want to go and dive into that repo and then like put that in the presentations, but it's not really the focus of the attention, or it shouldn't be. It could be, but again, not all of us, our languages are. So I think I'm going to leave that to each one to present in that chapter. I think that we should focus on the principles and like the science and the advice that Klaus is giving us for each one of the chapters. So they are going to be like, for example, we can actually see one of the chapters, but it would be like a lot of text. Well, not a lot of text, but summarized and paraphrased, right? Like text, and then the examples that he's showing. I do think that one of the reasons, or one of the things that I like the most about this book, is that we can actually discuss the ideas here. And I love the fact that we have data scientists here, and we have people that are from other backgrounds too, so that we can all learn from each other and see, like, because obviously the data scientists here, you guys know more than us, right? Like, we are really here only working with what we have learned empirically, sometimes empirically. Not that we're bad, but we don't have the training that you guys have. So I think that's how I see it. A little bit focused, like I said, on the principles that each chapter is going to cover, and then seeing it in real life, not real life examples, I'm sorry, in the real examples that he's showing in the book. And if you find others somewhere else, then be my guest. Bring them here too, and then discussions like, what do you guys think about this, and things like that. But that's how I see it. But this is our book club, so you guys' opinions matter more than mine. So please tell me what you guys think. Ashley.
I think this is mostly just going to be reiterating basically what you just said, but when we did the effect book club, like the first half of the book is all theoretical, and then the second half is where you do the applied coding and stuff. And so what we found was useful for the first half, where it was mostly theoretical, was basically like presenting the material in the chapter as like almost like a mini lecture for like whoever was doing that chapter, just like a little summary of what was discussed. And then because we had folks from a number of different fields, we would talk about like, oh, where would you use this particular method in your field? And we had some really interesting cases where like somebody was like, I don't know where you would ever use this. And I was like, oh, you would use this in biology like all the time. And so I think that can be really informative, and also just talking about stuff that's like confusing and things like that.
Yeah, more of a discussion, right? Because yeah, that's how I see it too. But again, we can also do like the first part and then evaluate, and then see, well, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then see how we modify it for the second part of the book. That could also be it. So anybody else has any different thoughts on this. And also you are the owner of your chapter. So if you're on chapter 5, for example, then you have complete freedom to guide it however you think it's best. Yeah, but anyway, someone else has any other thoughts? You can also type them. Okay, then if not, then I hope that, Arthur, I'm not sure if that clarified a little bit your question.
No, I think it does. At least starts to. I'm sure once I get into it, it'll become more clear. Thanks.
Yeah, and it's a little bit about like, let's see along the way kind of thing, because it's the first time that we're doing this book. And because it doesn't have a lot of coding, then yeah, it's gonna be a little more, like you said, Ashley, like mini lectures. But I think that, yeah, if we can leave room for discussions too, that could also be cool, I think. Although some chapters may be so long that they're maybe just 5 minutes for a discussion or something. Yeah, okay. So if there's anything else anybody wants to say, if not, we can just conclude our first meeting today, and we will continue next week with Ashley presenting chapter 2. Okay. I'm excited, you guys. I'm really excited about this book, and I hope that my accent doesn't get in the way of you guys trying to understand me. I try to speak as clear as I possibly can. And yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. I don't know if this book was all like, did he always have this book online, or was it relatively recently?
That's a good question.
Because I
I'm
remember
not sure.
wanting to buy this book. I feel like it was in like 2019 or 2020 or something, and being like, it's too expensive. But little did I know, maybe I could have had the online version this whole time.
I know. I don't remember. I got I was looking into like this, learning about the principles of data visualization. So I bought a few, but I bought them like for my Kindle. And then that's when I bumped into this one, and I saw that this one was free. So that's why I suggested it, because I was looking at others, but those were like you have to pay, to
Yeah.
buy them. So that's why I thought, yeah, because the other ones are really cool, but John will not go with it because they're paid essentially. They're not freely available. But yeah. Anyway, okay, you guys, I'm gonna just let you all go. I'm pretty sure everybody's super busy. Happy coding, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks so much.
Bye.